Okay, so usually when you begin a sports event, then we have a period of warm-up, but as this is a Buddhist event, we'll have a period of cooling down. And so we're going to practice a short session of sitting meditation. So what we call cultivation in Buddhism can be divided into formal cultivation, or what's usually called meditation, and then informal cultivation. That's maintaining clarity and awareness during our daily life. So this is going to be a formal cultivation period. And then the formal cultivation period we divide again into development of meditation skills in stillness and meditation skills in movement. Meditation skills in movement called walking meditation or jongkom. So the sitting meditation is a way for us to come back to ourselves and try to communicate with ourselves. We spend so much time communicating with other people and not enough time communicating with ourselves. So this is not a practice in order to get something, whatever you might call it. You're not going to get peace or get this or get that. We're developing some very important life skills. So this is the first thing I'd like to share with you today, this view of meditation. It's not a technique you apply in order to get something. But what we want to develop is the ability to be present to our experience and learn from our experience. Two things in particular: we need to be wise with regard to negative mental states and wise in regard to positive mental states. Learning how to protect the mind from negative mental states, and when they do arise, having the skill to deal with them effectively. We want the skill of introducing positive mental states into the mind, and the skill of taking care of those that have arisen and nourishing them. These are the essential meditation skills for certainly in the early stages of practice. So, practically speaking, how do we do this? First, we give attention to our environment. So in informal meditation, we can't really do that very well. We have to put up with the situation we find ourselves in. But in the formal meditation practice, we find a place as quiet and peaceful as possible, so there's little disturbance to the senses. And then we try to sit in such a way that is most conducive to the practice of meditation. So here we can observe, I think, that exactly how we place our arms, our hands, our legs, our feet is not essential. Certainly, since the time of the Buddha, sitting cross-legged has been the preferred option because it gives the body a very stable triangular base and helps you to keep a straight back. but it is the back which is really the most important element of posture. And we can see very easily, if we don't sit with a straight back, that it's very easy to become sleepy. On the other hand, if a back is too rigid, then the breathing is irregular, and it will also hinder the practice of meditation. So we sit in such a way that we feel that we're taking responsibility for our life, beginning with the physical body. So this is creating a kind of a template or a first idea of what it means to be self-reliant. So we're not leaning on anything, and we're sitting in a way that the back is straight but not rigid. We close our eyes to restrict the amount of information coming into our brain. And we try to sit as still as we can, because although that won't in itself bring an end to the inner movement and agitation, it does help a little. And certainly moving the body stimulates unnecessary agitation. So we're sitting, if possible, cross-legged, if not, on a chair, but without leaning back, and trying to develop this sense of taking responsibility for the body, taking responsibility for our life. Now, one of the life skills that we start to develop from the very beginning of meditation practice is that of finding a balance between effort and relaxation. So we have a very efficient feedback system here. And because if we put too much effort, we try too hard, and lack relaxation, then you'll get tense, and often feelings of tension in the forehead or in the chest or the abdomen. Those are indications that there's too much effort and not enough relaxation. But if there's too much relaxation and not enough effort, then the mind will just wander off here and there, or again become dull and sleepy. So you're getting some feedback immediately, helping you to adjust the quality of your effort. Now the mind is usually wandering here and wandering there in a very undisciplined way, and the Buddha and many other teachers have compared the mind to a monkey jumping from branch to branch. So the first thing we need to do is to bring the mind to into a state of contented simplicity, giving up all of the small pleasures of memory and imagination and fantasy, which rely on us to give these little small hits of pleasure throughout the day. So we have to make a renunciation, be willing to renounce those small pleasures out of a confidence in the teachings of the Buddha and all great masters, that there is a much more profound happiness that can be realized if we are willing to give up on these small, trivial kinds of pleasure that we are addicted to. So our relationship to thoughts and mental phenomena is most analogous to addiction. So we're addicted to thinking and having something, anything at all, going on in our mind. So we should not be surprised that if we try to keep our mind on one thing, that the mind will panic and rebel and resist. And so we have to be very patient, firm and kind, patient, and keep returning the mind to its object. So there is nothing especially mystical about this process. It's similar to learning how to play a piano or any other musical instrument. It needs to be constant, unremitting effort. So the object that we can take for our anchor or our refuge is the breath. And the breath is a very suitable object because we all have the breath. As long as we're alive, it's always there for us. But it's also a completely unattractive or uninteresting object. Most people will only ever take any interest in their breath when they are hard, where they're finding it hard to breathe. Now, I think all of us can watch a movie or some kind of entertainment or a concert for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours or more without the mind wandering off into the past or the future. The reason the mind can do that is because all the work is being done by the object. The object is stimulating interest. The breath doesn't stimulate interest. For that reason, it's a very good meditation object because you can only sustain awareness on the breath through effort. You can't just relax and allow the breath to take you with it. So another life skill which we are all need to cultivate is that of self-motivation. And with this effort to put your mind, sustain your awareness on a bland and uninteresting object, then without that skill of self-motivation, particularly in the beginning when it's very difficult, you'll find it hard to be successful. So we can reflect at the beginning of a meditation, for instance, that without training our mind, we will never be free of suffering. Without training our mind, we will never know true happiness. These kinds of reflections and the need for a systematic training of mind, the value of that systematic training of mind, the suffering, the disadvantages, the drawbacks of an undisciplined, untrained mind. This kind of reflection can give rise to this interest and enthusiasm. Sometimes merely recollecting great masters and great teachers and people who have followed this path to its conclusion or close to its conclusion, and wishing to emulate them can also be very uplifting. So at the beginning of a meditation, check your motivation, check your level of enthusiasm and interest. Don't just put your mind on your object in a very perfunctory way. You have to create the foundation first. Now to begin with sustaining attention on the breath, it's a good practice to feel the sensations throughout the body, from the head right down to the feet, which appear together with the inhalation and together with the exhalation. You'll notice as you breathe in that there are certain sensations, some strong, some subtle, in the head area, in the face, in the neck, in the shoulders, in the arms, in the hands, fingers, in the chest and the abdomen, in the back, the way from the base of the neck right down to the coccyx, the buttocks touching the chair, the floor, the thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, the feet, the toes. As you breathe in, the lungs expand. Just be aware, open your mind to the sensations throughout the body. And as you breathe out and the lungs contract, again being aware of the feelings in the head, the neck, shoulders, arms, the torso, the hips, the buttocks, the legs, the feet. There's nothing to do, nothing to think about, nothing that really needs your attention right now, but developing this skill, this life skill of being present to your experience. This is what's called the real world of experience. Now the next step, after some time, and it's a sense of contentment and interest and a reduction of mental agitation, then we choose a particular point, area in the body at which to observe the sensation of the breath. Most meditators since the time of the Buddha have preferred the area around the tip of the nose and the upper lip. But this is by no means compulsory. Some meditators prefer to be aware of the sensation of the breath in the chest area, some in the abdomen. The idea is to find one particular point and then to establish your attention at that one point, and being aware of the whole duration of an in-breath and the whole duration of an out-breath. So a meditation period is, strictly speaking, just one breath. It's not 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, it's one breath. And so make this your goal, to be fully aware and awake and present to the whole duration of an inhalation, the whole duration of an exhalation. So one way of helping you to sustain that kind of attention is to use a mantra. The word that's most commonly used in Thailand is Buddho, which is the word Buddha with an O rather than A at the end. That word is divided into two syllables, Bud and To. And on the inhalation, you mentally recite Bud, and on the out breath, To. To. But other two-syllable words would also work, would fulfill this same function of increasing the sense of connection between the mind and the breath. Now we can observe that when the body inhales, then there is naturally a sense of effort there. And when the body exhales, there is a natural sense of relaxation. So in our study, in our learning how to create a balance, a blend of effort and relaxation, we can complement the physical effort of inhalation by emphasizing the mental relaxation during the inhalation. And similarly, we can complement the natural physical relaxation during the out-breath with an emphasis on mental effort. It's common that the moment when the mind is most vulnerable to distraction is towards the end of the out-breath. This is why it's good just to put a little bit more emphasis on effort towards the end of the out-breath. One other auxiliary technique to help to cement this relationship between the mind and the object is counting. So we can count in this way: inhalation 1, exhalation 1, and then inhalation 2, exhalation 2, inhalation 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Now if you become distracted and you lose the counting, then you have to go back to 1 again. But if you can sustain your attention 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, then you start again, but this time count up to 6, 6. If you can be there with the counting, not forget, not get distracted, you get to 6, 6, then you start again and count 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, all the way to 7, 7, and then to 8, 8, and then to 9, 9, and then to 10, 10. So that's one cycle of counting, and is a good technique at the beginning of a meditation, or for someone just beginning this practice. One advantage is that you can measure your progress. One of the difficult things about meditation is it's very difficult to do that usually. But by counting, you can see, yes, when I began, for instance, 1 to 5 even was difficult, and now I can count 5, 6, 7, I get all the way to 10. And that sense of self-confidence that arises when you see progress is, of course, very helpful. So with the breath as the basic object, we can add these auxiliary techniques as a way of assisting this effort to sustain attention over a period of minutes or even longer. So again, using the mantra, as Buddho, or the counting, for instance. But as the mind becomes clearer and brighter, and the hindrances begin to fall away, then we can put down those auxiliary techniques and simply sustain attention with precision and with clarity and with a bright, clear wakefulness for every inhalation, every exhalation.